Welcome. My name is Santtu Kottila. I'm your host of today. I'm the founder of MarkkinointiKollektiivi and the CMO and co-founder at Leadu Marketing Technologies. Boy, do we have an interesting event today lined up. We have an audience of over 300 marketeers all over the galaxy to join us today. We also have a live audience of 30 marketeers here in Helsinki. So this will be a hybrid session, so a few practicalities. In just a moment, we'll have the opening words and followed by a really interesting panel discussion. Please do ask questions through the Prospectum live chat. I will be monitoring that throughout the event and picking up the most important and interesting questions. For the live audience, please raise your hand if you have a question and a mic will be handed over to you. This event will be in English, but if you feel more comfortable asking questions in Finnish, that's totally okay. I will be translating those to our speakers and panelists of today. So as you know, we will dive into the topic of digitalizing B2B brands and improving the brand experience, which couldn't be more up to speed topic for an event like this. And especially everyone working in the B2B sector, whether it's marketing, sales, or business development, this is something you need to know. But, well, you know the importance of this topic because you're here today. Without further ado, I would say let's get going. Is that okay with everyone on the stream and here in Helsinki? Great, I can see a lot of in-person nodding and through the camera lens a bit of online nodding as well. First, I will be accompanied on stage by a very seasoned marketing and sales professional who has extensive experience in digitalizing businesses. He's a CMO and growth consultant, and on top of this, he's also a wine importer. I will be asking him a few questions about that. So, please welcome from Valve, Max Nyman.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, like I said, I will touch upon on the topic of importing wine.
First things first.
First things first, yeah. So, are you like a marketer by day and a wine importer by night, or which way around is it?
Well, it depends. It's actually the answer. So, yes, I am.
How do you make it happen?
Well, it's a bit of a balance act to do. So you know, I'm mainly here at Vallila doing marketing things, and then if I have some spare time, I'll travel around, you know, wineries and talk with different nice wine region, you know, like our representatives. So.
That sounds like the most fun side hustle you can ever have, to travel around the world and maybe drink a bit of wine. You probably need to do that.
Yeah, once in a while.
Once in a while. One more thing before we move forward from this topic. I'm sure you get asked a lot, but what's your favorite wine at the moment?
At the moment, now that we're heading towards winter and it's dark, chilly, raining a bit,
moist,
bit, you know, like a dark, hefty, you know, like a red, maybe Zinfandels or wines from northern Spain, you know, like a Ribera del Duero, so that kind of things.
Do you get asked a lot for recommending wines?
Almost all the time.
Okay, so everyone in the audience and also on the stream, you can connect with Max on LinkedIn to get the latest tips and tricks.
Anytime.
Cool. More towards today's topic, even though the wine conversation is super important as well. We'll be talking about like digitalization, B2B, brand experience. When we consider the topic of digitalization, to me, and I think there might be someone else in the audience as well who think that this might sound like old news, but why is it important in the context of B2B?
You're right. It probably is, you know, old news when we're considering, you know, like a B2C business and commercialization. But, you know, we've started to see within the maybe last 12 months, 2 years, you know, like a increasing signs that, you know, that more and more, you know, like purchase processes are, starting and ending online, and the kind of role of human is getting, like a, if not smaller, it has, like a supporting role in many ways in that whole process. So more and more are done digitally.
According to Gartner, a salesperson within a B2B buying process only gets 17% of the time that the buyer is using for the buyer journey. So
indeed, and that is visible. So you kind of not maybe forced, but you have to create the brand, like a without human, like a kind of participation. So that is a one key thing, and that's something what we're talking about today.
Yes,
more.
Yes, I will be roasting the panel for sure. I'll promise you that. I'm positive that everybody in this crowd today knows why branding is important and how brands are created. But why is it especially important for B2B brands in this era that we're living at the moment?
I think, it comes to the fact that one of the key things, and kind of aims of branding and creating brands is to create trust around the company and its offerings, and while knowing, what you said earlier, that that the human participation is getting, smaller and smaller, the importance of brand creation is getting bigger and bigger. So, in other words, it's about creating trust.
Trust. That's a big word, but often forgotten. You can't just create a website and start selling online.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you can try.
Yeah, but that's why so many like even good ideas fail. The trust creation takes time and lots of effort to make it happen.
Yeah. Before I let you join the audience and I'll be inviting the panelists, I'd like to ask you one more question. The topic that we're touching upon today, what is the single most important thing in your mind that every marketer should start paying even more attention from tomorrow onwards? I know it's a tough question, but
no, I mean it's a very important question. I'd say one of the biggest things is the customer. The expectations of personalization, the timely communication, and communication which is utterly relevant is getting bigger and bigger. And of course, we know maybe more than ever about our customers, but are we using really all that knowledge and making it like a tick in customers' head as well?
Yeah. That's a good tip. Like said in the beginning, you will be handing out tips related to wine recommendations. So probably it's safe for me to say that you can also be connected with B2B brands, experience-related topics as well.
We can always talk about both wine and marketing.
That's best. Thanks, Max. Let's give Max a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good. Hey, next up is the panel discussion. So we'll be touching this topic and approaching this topic with a very, very talented panelists today. I will invite them here one by one to join me on stage. So let's start with the first one. So KONE is a global leader in the elevator and escalator industry, improving the flow of urban life with over 60,000 employees in over 60 countries. Our first panelist is a highly motivated and intellectually curious brand, marketing, and business development leader with over 15 years of strategic marketing and international branding experience. Please give a warm round of applause to Laura Hinkkanen. Senior Marketing Manager, Sales and Marketing Development at KONE. Surprise, surprise. Cool. Next up to join with us is a person who knows brand strategies inside out and also shares a passion for copywriting. I love copywriting as well. It's such an important gift. He has over 30 years track record as a brand strategic, award-winning copywriter and a creative lead in international industrial branding and marketing communications. Please welcome Markus Natri.
Good morning. Thanks, Sampo.
Welcome.
Hey.
Last but definitely not least is our third panelist, a dynamic and visionary marketeer. With over 2 decades of hands-on expertise in 3D production, he has done a wide range of groundbreaking things all the way from crafting captivating animations, videos, immersive product demos, XR experiences, and event visuals. Please welcome Risto Karhu.
Thank you.
Welcome, Risto. Welcome once again, panelists.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really excited about the next 45 minutes that we'll be covering the today's topics with you. I would like to remind our audience here in Helsinki and also on the stream that you are more than welcome to ask questions at any point. Those of you who join us live, please raise your hand and a mic will be handed over. And for those of you who are watching this through the stream, please use the chat and I will be monitoring the chat and asking questions from our panelists. Difficult stuff coming ahead, guys.
Uh-oh.
Before we delve deeper into the topic, I'd like to ask you about what's causing this change? What are the things in for instance, like consumer and buyer behavior that are driving this change? Laura, could you go first?
Yeah, I can go first. I would have used the same Gartner example as you did.
Please do use it again.
So I think
repetition.
it was like 17% of the customer time is the sales. Sales can have 70% of customers' time. Then also, I think that same study says that 88% of the buying journey start online, and also the sort of touch points that the customer has with the company or sales or the brand have been risen from 17 to 27, so almost doubled in 5 to 10 years. And most of the interactions are online or digital, and I think that sort of is one of the drivers of that change that we are facing. So we don't know what, or we do sometimes know, but we don't necessarily know what is the channel, where the buying journey starts, where it ends, and what happens between that.
Markus.
Yeah, I think the whole concept of digital empowerment is at the very core, obviously. I have a perspective of over 30 years in B2B marketing. I remember that during the late 80s and early 90s, it was the salesman was always in the focus of everything, and all the interactions between the companies were with the salespeople. So the role of marketing and advertising and all of that was to support the salesman in doing that. Yeah. But now with the digital empowerment, obviously, with only 17% of the time, as has been mentioned twice already, in interaction with the actual salesperson, it's just so vital that the customer journey is well taken care of, and we give all the kind of support that is needed during that time.
Markus, I call that the era of yellow pages. So
Yes.
that was when all the information that you could ever have was on the yellow pages.
True.
So it is difficult for companies who originate from several decades ago to transform into this new way of buying. But what could be something that you could mention now that how to ignite that change?
Well, I think the market has done that. Well, all of us are basically consumers, and we've learned to use the digital channels in our everyday lives, and that pretty much translates into our business behavior as well. So I guess that it comes as a given. We don't really need special igniters for that. If you don't do it, you're not going to survive.
Yeah. Risto, you're a expert in experiential marketing. How do you see that changing and driving buyers needs and expectations?
Yeah, well, I'm a practical guy and I'm working with the concrete things that are involved that subject. And if I like reflect things to myself, I'm a guy who likes to like investigate everything that I do and do online and do the buying decisions. So I like to get that info directly using internet. And I have, of course, like seen the whole digitalization from the phones that you can rotate with your finger and you have to call your friends and everything like that. But now there's like a huge competition on the market that you really have to push your product online to be able to get that seen. And people who are doing these buying decisions are probably like me as well. So they like to do the research by themselves and then get kind of like that inside info of the product that they are all going to buy probably. And they are almost like the experts of that product when that buying decision is actually done. So I think the most important thing is that because of the competition, it's like very big at the moment. You really have to get your product online and get that data for your customers.
Those like changes in expectations and like how the buying journey has changed, I think it doesn't just transform marketing, it transforms sales as well. And therefore, like basically all revenue streams that the company has or are involved with. Before we move forward, I'd like to ask you one good question that we got from people who signed up to the event today. So millennials and Gen Z are taking over decision making. What's the impact of this to our today's topic?
Well, maybe I can add to that. So I'm not like a Gen Z, but I know Gen Z people quite well because I'm working with them on my office all the time. Like I have a young crew. Well, not everybody is so young, but anyways, I have a crew of young people, and they are of course like computer gaming, and they have like very lots of like hobbies involving into that. And then when they are doing the decisions, they would like to test the products by themselves. And then I think that is one of the things that you have to take into consideration. If you have a product that is very concrete thing that you want to tell like facts about it, and if you can give like an option to test the product even before going physically seeing it, that's like one of the key benefits of these new digital marketing tools that we have on our hands. And I think there's these things called metaverses that is like a pretty hot topic at the moment. And if you can get your products into that metaverse, it will give you benefits. And let's talk about that a bit later.
Yeah. Markus, Laura.
There's one thing that is, I think, a common denominator for the Gen Z and for the younger generation, and it's they hate waste. They hate wasting their time. They hate wasting their company's money, and at the end of the day, they also hate wasting natural resources. So also this kind of ethos of sustainability kind of plays into the same narrative. Yeah. And as companies, as brands, we have to be very aware of that as well.
So what you're saying is that for these new generations, it's things like sustainability, that's not like a competitive advantage. That's something that is
has
expected.
To be there, licensed to operate pretty much.
Yeah. Laura?
Yeah, fully agree with you both. Then what I think, I'm not so sure if it's just, if it's especially Gen Z or millennials, but what I can see is that we are really cautious of our own like personal data. So we give false emails, we browse anonymously, don't accept cookies, whatnot, give false birth dates. And yet, when we interact with customer service or sales, we expect that they know everything about us. And I think that's also a big challenge in marketing and sales and overall in digital development, that how do we get that customer data? How do we use our own data to make sure that that we have a full understanding of our customers?
Yeah. Thanks, Laura. This is a like great segue to our next topic, which will be like the future of experiential marketing in the B2B industry. I have a proposition for you first, and I'd like to see how you respond to it. like technology and product used to be at the center of the brand in the B2B sector. Let's remember that we're mostly focusing on B2B today. But now, is it true or false that customer experience, service-oriented business, and value creation have displaced the product-centric approach? Which one is more important?
I would say definitely it has, and it's also partially because we're kind of moved into this subscription-based economy as well, and you're kind of expected to build partnerships and add value together, co-create with the brands. So it's a whole different kind of era, a different way of operating, and you need to have the kind of seamless brand experience, not depending on where you meet with it and what the contact points are. So I think that's a big factor here.
Yeah, my like personal view on this topic that you were talking about, like 360 brand experience, that this is where most of the brands still don't succeed well enough. That the brand experience is not coherent between different channels and touch points.
It's a tough job to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think the product is still kind of that king, of course, because you are selling the product. But the products nowadays, they are like packed full with all kinds of digital features. And it might be like in the old times, it was enough that you show the product, hey, it's beautiful, go and buy it. But in this age of time, you really have to be able to communicate about the benefits of the product and all that digital side behind that. And I think for that, the customer journey and these digital channels are the absolute necessity to make that happen. And to be able to give that info for your customer before he is actually walking into that physical product and maybe getting that info from mouth to mouth. That's
Around 5 years ago, Kone launched the DX elevators, which are connected into internet and allow us to sell a lot of additional app solutions. And of course, service business is a big part of Kone's business. But I think that you mentioned in the beginning the 17% of the time 17 sort of what ratio actually the sales has in customers' time, and I think that's sort of makes it difficult also to make that shift. How do we sell the value if the customer starts Googling our product? How do you sell the value if sort of you are not there before the customer has already some kind of a need? So I think that requires strong brands, sort of in digital and physical, and the sort of investing, growing the brand is really crucial when you really want to sell the value.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, and the value proposition of the brand is becoming more and more important. I a little bit oppose the idea of this product centricity, especially in branding, because it quite often is that the relationship that the customer has with the brand, it's usually with the brand and the value that it produces, not so much the technology or the product, because at the end of the day, technologies are switched and new technologies come to replace old ones, but the kind of value proposition and the brand promise that is there, if it's strong and if it's consistent and if it's like hyper relevant to the customer, it can live on forever. There are a lot of examples of that.
Yeah, I'll circle back to the emotional side of decision making on B2B, but there's a good question from the chat. We've now referred to the Gartner research 3 times, so it was Gartner research on B2B buying journey. So if you Google Gartner B2B buying, you will find the research. It's a great research. Getting back to the topic that you just mentioned, Markus. So we tend to create stereotypes in order to help create processes and have these assumptions. And one of these stereotypes that is very sticky is the fact that we think that B2B is very like data oriented and like opposed to what B2C is, which is very like emotional decision making. But now we're seeing this shift, or are we, of the emotional things and the brand experience being more and more involved in the B2B decision making as well.
I'd say absolutely. You know, at the end of the day, people always make their decisions emotionally, and they just rationalize it with facts and figures. So emotions always play a key role. And here, obviously, the most important emotion is the trust, the element of trust.
And on the other hand, the buyer is normally not just one person, but it's a collective. So there are different kind of personalities involved in that buying process. So there's people who are maybe more analytical, and then people who
Might be more emotional.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So I think that's good to keep in mind, that
Exactly,
you need to sort of
cater to
yeah.
all different kinds of needs. Yeah. If there's an average about 10 people making the decision, there might be the boomer who's actually signing off, but there are 6 or 7 Gen Z or millennials there also that have a strong influence. So we kind of need to take care of the whole group.
Yeah. I'll need to continue with this topic because I think we have an elephant in the room. Most of us are like, we understand marketing very well. So for us, the importance of brand is not something that needs to be convinced to us, but it's these people here in Helsinki and watching the stream that are having these debates internally about the importance of building awareness, building trust, creating brand on the cost of just investing in lead generation. So a quick round from all of you, like your one tip for a marketeer to how to handle these internal conversations to get more budget for brand building.
I can start.
Please do.
Yeah, I think measure is the sort of answer to that, because I know that we discuss a lot about how to measure brands and how to measure the brand value, but I do think that we need to start doing it and understand how we can communicate through the value of a brand in the long term. And I also think that the difficult thing is to understand, especially in this situation where we are entering a situation of, or we have already entered a situation of uncertainty. We need both. We need lead gen and brand building, but how to sort of understand what's the investment between those and how to justify those investments between those. I think that's a challenge that we all faced, as you said. But I think measuring and starting measuring now, because the only way to show the value is that you can show the change year to date when you measure.
Yeah, measure.
I read somewhere that today about 90% of the investment is into the lead gen, and just about 10% into so-called brand building activities. And if you kind of sum up I think the phrase that says that marketing is like asking someone for a date, and brand is the reason why he or she says yes. So I think that pretty much explains the importance of having the brand. It doesn't matter how well you're connected or how many messages you get through. If you don't have the likability and the kind of approachability or emotional connection to the brand, you won't get the positive response there. So measure, obviously, very important, but also try to balance the budgeting to the investment between the lead gen and the brand building. Because at the end of the day, after the lead gen operation is over, it's still the brand that brings the cash flow, because it can live forever. It's the asset, it's your life belt, it's pretty much your whole business is built on that, the foundation.
Okay, so measure and call your clients and ask them for a date. Potential clients.
And ask for Max for the wine.
Obviously, yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna look that from like a totally different side. I totally agree on you both, but from the practical side, like to get the most best bang for the buck, do your research on what kind of activities are you doing. And for instance, if you have lots of like assets, I'm from the 3D side of things, so if you have lots of like 3D assets on your repertoire, that you have products and 3D assets out of them, investigate what's basically the most future-proof thing, how you can use those assets to get them like going the furthest. So like in that way, saving, but also looking at the future. This might be like an investment that you have to now do. It might be a bit more costly now, but then on the long run, it will save it on the end. So do your research and then take all of the use of your assets.
Cool. Yeah. There's a very, very good question from the audience. So, and this is directed to you, Laura. So, Essi would like to know if you could give an example of how Kone measures the brand and uses those measurements for those difficult budget discussions.
I don't know if I'm the right person to give answer to that. I think from Kone, Annika Payne is the head of brand experience, and she would be the perfect person to answer to that. So if she's online, she could take that answer. But how we measure brand is, of course, share of voice, and then also. What I know that we are developing is understanding how then we have started to measure the sort of brand strength and share of voice, and then we are trying to attribute that to the actual business side of things. So if there's I think in Finland, when I work with agencies and so forth, we think that Kone is a great brand. But when we look at, for example, US, we are the fourth, because when you say elevator in US, that's always Otis. So basically, we have a really different situation when it comes to brand in different markets. And we also want to understand what's the correlation of getting new customers or when it comes to customer loyalty also. And I think that's really, really interesting, but cannot tell anything more about that because we're just starting the journey.
Yeah. Could you repeat the name of your colleague so that if there's someone who's interested could connect with her?
Yeah, Annika Payne, our head of brand experience.
Thank you, Laura. Let's continue on this topic, but let's shift the focus a bit. So, and Risto, this is to you. You mentioned metaverse, and there has been a great hype around it. But let's say that probably like the most like the hottest hype on the topic has kind of cooled down, at least what comes to like consumer media and these types of sectors and industry. But the implications of metaverse are not addressed as much from the B2B and industrial point of view. How would you like set up the scene? Is it something that we need to forget, or is it something that we still need to do research on?
Well, this is of course like a huge topic, the whole metaverse, and what is meant by when consumer metaverses and industrial metaverses are basically compared apples to apples. It doesn't really work because I think the consumer metaverse, it has been basically always coming, and it's like 5 years ahead of us, and that's mostly due to the fact of like poor hardware and cost of the hardware, and then also what are we actually like talking about when talking about metaverse, because basically the games have been here for ages, and if we loosely use the term of metaverse, the games are actually the metaverse. If you are talking about like a multiplayer game, that's basically it. And now what we are doing here is that we are basically using those tools from the gaming world to turn them into our benefit in the industrial metaverse side of things. And in the industry, the use of these technologies like virtual reality, there's like a huge benefits that we can get from that. So for instance, training, and then for improving this customer journey. There's also already like concrete things that you can measure that, okay, it's like beneficial to be used already. Like if you use training with VR, it's gonna be better than just looking through paper sheets and or something like that. So yeah, I'm absolutely in that side that the metaverse will be a thing in the industrial and B2B side.
And one big aspect of the metaverse, according to the study or survey of Ernst & Young and Nokia, was that one of the benefits is always sustainability. It's a kind of top benefit from it, because obviously saves travel, saves materials, and all that. Yeah. So it's here to stay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And there's at least 100 different things that I could like mention as well. But I don't think that the metaverse will be taking away the face-to-face experiences. For instance, in the events, it's still important to meet people and communicate together. But the metaverse, like these tools, will help in that customer journey and getting products sold, and then also getting these benefits like sustainability and these kind of things.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you're a practical guy, and I like to think that I'm a practical person as well. I'm not that much into gaming. I probably would need to, because I have like small kids, and they will wipe me out from this sector if I don't. But I'm more interested on the practical side of the utilization of metaverse, for instance, and the kind of examples that I've seen where like companies can host training sessions, they can host like global product releases in a metaverse, which gives it the same kind of a experiential feeling, almost like a physical event. But I haven't seen those examples too much. So you said that you could have. You said that you have like multiple examples, but like share two. But be short, please.
I think like the product launches done in metaverse, those are maybe not the best examples or the best use for metaverse. As I said, it's still important to get like big events going on and show the product in that way. But then it doesn't have to be like a once-off product launch that you are having. It can be like after the physical product launch, you could have like a continuation to that and get that product launch going on for a year, for instance, in online. So we have like portals that you can use and have your products in the online, and then you can go there and check the benefits and whatever. And then just like using technologies from the gaming world, like utilizing game engines like Unreal Engine, for instance, it will make possible that you can put your devices into consumer games, and then you can give your like customers an option to drive those devices in these games. So you can almost like get that experience of driving a machine by yourself. It might be like a farming tractor or a container crane or whatever, basically. So there are of course like a million things that you can do in the metaverse, but those are just a few things.
Hey, there can't be a marketing-related event today without discussing the topic of AI, can we? No, we can't. No, we can't. We might try, but probably we've all actually already had a few questions related to AI, which I will share with you in just a moment. A question. What specific and already like feasible B2B example on the utilization of AI you've encountered and to you is worth sharing with all of us today?
I can start because my example is also from the game world. Basically, of course, we are just starting the journey of utilizing AI, and the tools are getting better and faster and more beautiful all the time. There's not like a week gone by and there's like a new advancement on the AI. But basically, for that customer journey, we might use like an AI ChatGPT type of thing to be like a virtual salesperson in the metaverse, and that metaverse might be like a web page or like a computer game. But if you have like data that you can train for the ChatGPT and put that data to use, and then have that entity there as an avatar or a human-like thing or whatever chatbot, and then you can ask from that concrete things from your products, and the answers will be very nice and good and accurate about the product, then that's of course like a beautiful example of beneficial use of AI.
Risto, an additional question to that before we move on to Markus and Laura's examples. Utilizing AI for that purpose that you just mentioned, so it can be like an avatar or a chat. Even though AI is very, very skillful, it is not 100% accurate. So if it's like 99 or 98% accurate, what would be your tip for the audience today on why should they take the risk of 1 to 2% of inaccurate answers?
Well, if you basically have a human and then you have how accurate is the human?
Listen to us.
Yeah. So
that's a good one. That's enough. Yeah.
How many of you used ChatGPT today? Almost everybody.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. My actual tip is something called ChatSonic, which I ran into it. Does anybody know ChatSonic yet? You do. It's like ChatGPT, but on steroids. It's faster, smarter, and it has integrated Google search, which means that all the information that you get from it is pretty factual and actual, topical. It also has wonderful kind of writing tools. So very soon, copywriters as myself will be kicked out of a job, but that's life.
We'll invite you to these panels in the future.
Thank you. For some wine as well. And it also has chatbots that you can train to know your company inside out and use kind of generative AI to serve your customers. So I was astounded by everything that was in it after being astounded by ChatGPT some months ago. So this just goes to show how quickly the developments come, and probably today there's something new and exciting that we're going to be really excited about tomorrow if we bump into it. But yeah.
Or really afraid.
Or really afraid. Yeah. ChatSonic, made by a company called, I think it was Right Sonic or something like that. Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of classical AI. So basically, algorithms and looking at big chunks of data and understanding the different patterns. But of course, that requires a lot of good data. But when it comes to generative AI, I wouldn't yet go that far as you. I really like the example that I saw some time ago. A lot of already marketing technology platforms have the possibility for generative AI, and I saw an example where sort of the information was brought to a salesperson from all the public sort of contents like websites, PDFs, and so forth. So when the customer asked a question, the salesperson was able to get all the information, and I think that was really good example of how the generative AI can make us more efficient. And then there's the sort of human, it makes us as humans more productive, efficient, more clever, to be honest. So I think that was really good example, and I could imagine to go towards that also next year.
Yeah. Listening to your examples, it's very apparent that the recent applications have come to the client-facing interfaces because we have utilized AI for several years. We just haven't known that we've utilized it. All the kinds of tools, media, they are full of machine learning and AI that recommend us stuff or do those small things on our behalf. But now, due to the rise of ChatGPT, for instance, it has come more apparent and also feasible in the client-facing interfaces. Well, at what point do AI and humans should exchange their roles or shift the responsibility from AI to, for instance, a real person, like a salesperson? You two used the example of not replacing but helping the sales team with a AI-powered AI salesperson. But how close are we to the point that we don't need that human anymore, or should there be a natural point of shift in responsibilities.
I have to say that I hope that we we still need the human, and I do think that it sort of makes also the human interactions more valuable,
Meaningful, yeah.
and meaningful, exactly. Maybe what I have a little bit of fear is, for example, the generative AI. How much does it bring something new? Because it uses the existing content and existing, existing things. So is there? I think there is still this room for creativity and bringing something new, and there we also need the human interaction. And I also think that we don't need anything more. We need something better and something more personalized. So I'm still thinking that is the AI already there, and do we know how to use it to get to quality, not quantity?
Yeah, I think that AI is going to be with us, for the long run. It's here to stay, and I can't imagine a situation where you actually, cut off from it. But it's a good tool. But also the situation where you ask your AI to be in contact with my AI to get things done. That's probably not a scenario we want. We want to have the kind of human element there as well, but use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, whenever I meet my friends, I think we will start a discussion that takes at least 3 hours about the future uses for AI, and then also the things that we are a bit afraid what's going to happen with AI, like a use of generative AI, and then talking about are artists going to lose their jobs because of that, but I don't think so, because it will be basically filling some empty spots basically on the artwork, at least in some manner. Like we will use the generative AI in 3D software, and we are looking forward to that because it will take out the repetitive task and then things that we don't like to do so much, like a huge amount of manual work that will be wiped out due to the use of generative AI, and I'm actually looking forward for that. But AI is here to stay, and we would need a crystal ball to be able to forecast the future like a month ahead.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Yeah, let's take a question from the audience. Let's get the mic.
Hi.
Yeah.
So, how would you see the use of generative techniques associated with your own brand of Kone or brand of Valve? What kind of emotions it would trigger on the other party, your customer?
Really, really good question.
Well, at Valve, when we are doing like creative work, I don't think that we would like to basically advertise that it's being done by generative AI. And as I said, it might be like taking them like a boring work out from the picture, but I think the artists are still doing their thing and making creative things in the future.
Yeah, there's something about authenticity that people will value, I think, in the future as well. Music done by AI or pictures, imagery, it doesn't evoke the same emotion if we know it's made by AI. So it's pretty much a perception kind of a thing.
I maybe take a really concrete example, because Kone has launched an AI-based maintenance service 24/7 already some years ago, which is a predictive maintenance. And I think that when it comes to customers, we have been struggled a little bit that if everything goes well, nothing happens. Sort of how do we then communicate the value of that product? And I think that's something that we really need to be cautious about when we sort of use AI or generative AI. So what's the sort of touch points with the customer? How do we communicate the value of those solutions if that solution is sort of predictive and invisible? I didn't answer your question exactly, but I wanted to give a concrete example that makes us think.
It is a tough one. Then on the other hand, like what you just said, Risto, then there are people who think that we should be like very open about the fact that what are the tasks, what are the things that are being like handled by AI. But probably this is something that we will learn along the way. What's the best way to do it? Still touching upon this topic of AI and customer experience a bit, because I have a personal issue with this topic, and that is related to the Finnish market and how Finnish companies operate. This is part of like a claim or a statement, and I'd like to like hear out what you think. The problem that I have with this topic is that whenever a Finnish company automates something or like gets a repetitive task, as you mentioned, Risto, that gets the repetitive task done by a machine, or which means automated, whether it's like dumb automation or artificial intelligence, they tend to first think about, yes, we saved this much of money, and not think of, well, hey, we've freed up this much of resources. How can we use this resource that we have now to actually like enhance the customer experience? So what's your take on this topic? Do Finnish companies in particular use automation the wrong way?
Well, I think that any way that they use it, if it makes things more streamlined and improves service and cuts cost, it's a positive thing. At the end of the day.
Okay.
If they use the savings from that to further improving their services or the customer experience, that's even better. But it's a good starting point is to use automation smartly.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the businesses are doing automation wrong. Maybe like a totally wrong person to comment on that, but I think just the sheer amount of like things that the AI can go through in a shorter amount of time, like kind of like a visual, what's that called? Like when you're going through like a data of lots of like images and trying to find like imperfections or something like that.
Scanning.
That's totally something that the person couldn't even do, and that's the work, like the place where you should use AI in the future. Absolutely, like we will be like a better as a nation, as a people after that, because we are able to like use AI in that way. Like for instance, in healthcare, like detecting cancer from the röntgen images or something like that. So yeah, I think automation and the use of AI is absolutely the way to go. And
Cool.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, please.
I'm losing my mic, but let's see if this works for a while. I think the challenge there is that when you take a new technology, when you automate things, or for example, start using AI or generative AI, it actually requires more resources in the beginning, and it takes time to show the results of taking a new technology or automating. It requires the new technology, and then it requires a lot of sort of change management and learning and unlearning, for example. Good processes also. So I think the value of those things comes then later. And then sort of you are not able to see the spare time, let's say so, in the first 1 or 2 years. So I think that's why it's maybe hard to sort of put that time into something more productive, because then things have already changed and new technologies come and you take a new one and then you start the journey again.
There's always a learning curve.
Yeah, it's a learning curve.
And this was a personal learning curve for me, so you proved me wrong, which is great. Thanks. Hey, last topic. We've covered a lot on the area of B2B, digitalization, experience, branding, and we've talked a lot about the things that will change. As a final topic for today, what's something that doesn't change?
change.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
But what doesn't change in marketing is the focus in customer. I think that's our sort of what we need to do and what we need to bring to the business all the time. The understanding of the customer, the insights, the data of the customer. And especially in these hard times, I think what is not going to change is that we need to show the value of marketing. We need to collectively talk about what is the value that marketing and brand brings to a business.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think hyper-relevance, in one word, has to be relevant to the customer. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be that to spread around all different angles, but rather focus on a clear value proposition that's relevant to the customer and using the different tools to deliver the promise. That's going to be the way to go. But the unchanging thing should be the core of the brand promise. Because as said before, the brands basically don't have to ever die if their brand promise is consistent and it's delivered in a consistent manner.
Yeah. Customer centricity, hyper
relevancy
and change. Risto, do you want to continue
Well,
the change
I
or
would add
not?
to that I would hope that like this personal communication doesn't go away, whether it happens in the metaverse through the technology that we use, but it's still like a human talking to the human, and I think that will be here to stay, and maybe even more in the future. When we grow familiar with the tools and technologies, we will more appreciate the old ways of communication, like talking to each other.
And like the phones with you.
Yeah. Calling your friends, can you come out?
Yeah. Hey, the next question is a great way to end this panel discussion, and it's come from the audience. So I'd be happy to hear panelists' top tips for virtual events, on-demand courses, podcasts, whatever, around branding, CX, digital. So what would be your go-to source for information? We've mentioned the Gartner research a couple of times, so you can't use that anymore. Something else.
Well, like go-to sources. The internet, Google.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
I'm just like following news at the moment, and I don't have any like specific places where I usually visit. Even like just talking with our like clients. We have like big clients who are always like dealing with these issues. It's this kind of like a communication between them that is giving the insights.
Talk to people, ask questions.
Talk to people, and yes.
I second that.
Talk to people who are smarter than myself.
Yeah.
That's always a good tip.
Always a good one.
Laura.
Well, I'm happy to share podcasts and so forth after this event and in LinkedIn if someone's interested. But my go-to, like my Bible of marketing, has been April Dunford's obviously awesome book, which is like, you always start doubting yourself and thinking that, am I doing the right things and am I talking about the right things? And then you come back to that sort of super simple positioning thing. Yes. And I think that she will have a new book coming soon, if not yet already, Sales Pitch. Yeah, exactly. So that's my tip.
Good tip.
That's a great recommendation. April Dunford equals to positioning. And you can like source a lot of her content online also from YouTube and such. So not necessarily need to buy the book. I like to.
Although I recommend buying books.
Yeah,
that's a really good format still.
Yes, I'd like to add one to the mix as well. I'm not sure if this question was to me, but my personal favorite is a podcast called "How I Built This," which is from NPR, and it's a great one. It introduces a lot of successful companies, how they've come about, how they've built their products, marketing. It touches a lot about branding, value proposition, positioning, digital experiences, B2B. So very, very, very insightful podcast. Hey, at this point, I'd like to thank all of the panelists a lot. So let's give a warm round of applause for our panelists of today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will be ending the session now, today. It's been an awesome session with the panelists. Thanks, Max, for joining. Thanks, Valve, for making this event happen. As you are aware, all of the MarkkinointiKollektiivi events will be put onto our YouTube channel, so you can find this there after the event. Usually it takes a day or two. We would also kindly like to ask you to give feedback through the feedback survey that will be sent over to you after this event. As a short summary of the event, we've talked a lot about wines, we've talked about dating, we've talked about B2B, experiences, metaverse, AI, a lot of interesting topics. So I really, really encourage all of you to visit and rewatch this through YouTube when the recording is there. Thank you very much for joining. See you next time. Bye.